Hello students, in today's lesson we are going to look at Pythagoras' theorem. You can also call it the Pythagorean theorem. Now, let this be a right triangle where angle ACB is equal to 90 degrees. Let this angle be 90 degrees. Now, in that case, we say that the side that is opposite to angle A, you can see this is angle A. Now, the side that is opposite to it, that is CB, let it be A. And the side that is opposite to angle B, this is angle B, the side that is opposite to it, it is CA, let it be B. Then the side that is opposite to angle C, which is this one, let it be C. And now we know that the longest side of a right triangle is the side that has got the biggest angle. And the biggest angle for this triangle, you can see that it is 90. So the side that is opposite to angle C is the longest side. So the longest side is AB. AB is the longest side. And now we call AB the hypotenuse of triangle ABC. So the hypotenuse is the longest side of the right triangle. Now, let us do some practice. Find the hypotenuses of the following right triangles. Look at number 1. We have got triangle ABC, and we need to know which side is the hypotenuse. Remember, hypotenuse is the longest side. So, in order to know the longest side, you need to know the largest angle. And the largest angle is angle C. It is 90 degrees. So the side that is opposite angle C will be the hypotenuse. So this is the hypotenuse. So it means that the hypotenuse is AB. AB is the hypotenuse of triangle ABC. It implies that AB is the longest side. In number 2, we have got triangle DEF. So, to know the hypotenuse, we need to know the biggest angle. The biggest angle for this case, it is angle F. So, I need to know the side that is opposite angle F, and that is DE, this one. So it implies that DE is the hypotenuse of triangle DEF. Okay? Now, let us move on. We go to number 3. We have got triangle PQR. Still, we need to know which one is the hypotenuse, or which one is the longest side. So we look for the biggest angle, which is angle R. So the side that is opposite angle R is QP. So we say that QP, or we can call it PQ, is the hypotenuse of triangle PQR. Okay, I hope this is clearly understood. The hypotenuse is the longest side of the right triangle, and to know the longest side, you need to know the biggest angle. The biggest angle in the right triangle is 90 degrees. So the side that is opposite 90 degrees is the hypotenuse. Okay, so let us do an investigation to find out what Pythagoras' theorem is. Step 1, you will construct a right triangle with the length of its legs A and B in centimeters, and C that will be the length of the hypotenuse. Then you will measure the length of the hypotenuse in order to find the values of C, and then you complete this table. So as you can see, we will have a right triangle. We get A and B. Then we measure C. Okay? Now let's begin with the first right triangle. A is 3 centimeters. B is 4 centimeters. You can pause the video and measure C. If you are accurate, you should be able to get C as 5 centimeters. Now let us square A. A squared, which is 3, we will get 3 squared, and that will be 9 squared. We square B, which is 4 squared, to get 16. Now let us square C, which is 5 squared, to come up with 25. After that, get A squared plus B squared. A is 9 and B squared is 16. So we get 9 plus 16, which is equal to 25. Now note that when we get A squared plus B squared, A squared plus B squared, we are getting C squared. You can see that C squared is 25, but also the sum of A squared and B squared is 25. So you see that C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared. And actually, that is the relationship that the sides of a right triangle have got. And from this, that's where we get the Pythagoras' theorem. Let's get to draw another right triangle. This time, A is 5 and B is 12. Take your time and construct a right triangle, then measure C. If you are accurate enough, you should be able to get 13. And now let's square 5, which is A squared, to get 25, B squared, that is 12 squared, to get 144, square C, which is 13 squared, to get 169. Now let's get A squared plus B squared. A squared is 25, B squared is 144. You can see that the sum of A squared and B squared is 169, and also c squared is 169. You can see that c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. Okay? Now, let us draw the final right triangle, where A is 6 centimeters, B is 8 centimeters. Take your time. You can pause a video, construct that right triangle, and then measure C. If you are accurate enough, you should get C as 10 centimeters. Now let us square A. That is 6 squared, which is 36. Square B, which is 8 squared, that is 64. Square C, which is 10 squared, to get 100. Now, get a squared plus b squared, that is 36 plus 64, and you will get 100. Now, you can see that c squared, which is 100, is equal to a squared plus b squared, which is also equal to 100. So, from this, we can find out that c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. Now, from the investigation, we can conclude that for any right triangle, the square of its hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of its other sides. So this relationship is what we call the Pythagoras' theorem. You can also call it the Pythagorean theorem. Now, in this right triangle, we can say that a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared, or AB, which is the longest side, which we called the hypotenuse, is equal to BC squared, which is the same as A, plus AC squared, which is B. Okay? So, in short, we can say C squared equals A squared plus B squared. Now, the Pythagoras' theorem, it is very, very important in real life. We can use it to find the missing side of a right triangle. But students, I want you to be careful here. Of course, we have many types of triangles, but you have to understand that the Pythagoras' theorem only works on the right triangles only. We cannot use it on other types of triangles. And we can know that this is a right triangle when we see one of the angles of the triangle is 90. Okay? Now let us see how we can find the missing side of a right triangle. So in a question of example 1, we have triangle ABC with AC of length 5 centimeters and BC of length 12 centimeters. We can also see that angle ACB is 90 degrees. So which means that this triangle is a right triangle. Now we need to find the length AB. So in this right triangle, we see that angle ACB is 90 degrees. We see that AC is 5 centimeters. We see that BC is 12 centimeters. Now, we need to know what is AB. Okay? Now, since this is a right triangle, we can use the Pythagoras' theorem. But step 1, we need to know what is the hypotenuse. We know that the hypotenuse is the longest side of a right triangle. Now, for this case, we see that the hypotenuse is AB. So we say AB squared plus BC squared. We say AB squared equals BC squared plus AC squared. And then BC is 12, so we say 12 squared. AC is 5, so we say 5 squared. So 12 squared is 144. 5 squared is 25, and the sum is 169. So we will take the square root of 169 in order to know the length of AB. But remember, the square root of 169 is the positive square root and the negative square root. Now, since we are having the length cannot be a negative, so we will take the positive square root. We take the positive square root and we ignore the negative square root. Therefore, AB is 13 centimeters long. In example number 2, we have got triangle PQR, where PQ is 20 meters, QR is 16 meters. Now we need to know what is PR, and angle PQR is 90 degrees. So step 1, we are very sure that this is a right triangle. So we need to know what is the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is the longest side of the right triangle. So that is PQ. So we get PQ squared is equal to QR squared plus PR squared. PQ is 20 squared. Then QR is 16, so that is 16 squared plus PR squared. The square of 20 is 400, and the square of 16 is 256. Now we will subtract 256 from 400 such that we get 144. Remember, the square root of 144 is the positive square root and the negative square root. But since we want the length, we will take the positive square root, since the length cannot be negative.